Hello and welcome to another episode of It Came From the Page. And today I'm bringing back tag videos. I stopped doing tags for a while. Last week's Friday video was a lot. And I thought, hey, let's do something easy breezy, beautiful. And for me, that's a tag video. So I haven't done one of these in a while. Next week, I'm probably going to combine the rest of the tag that I haven't done and do like a giant Franken tag. But that, again, was probably be a lot of work. So today, I'm just going to do one tag. And that is the Give My Regards to Broadway tag, which was created by Troy Tradup. I was tagged by the wonderful Criminali. And this is a tag that uses musical theater prompts in order to get you into the spirits of talking about books. Should surprise no one. I do enjoy musical theater, but I don't enjoy classical musical theater. I really like trashy musical theater. My favorite musical is Carrie the Musical. If you haven't heard it, look it up. It's amazing. It's great. It's probably of mixed quality, but I love it dearly, and I listen to it all the time because I have no taste. Now that you know that about me, let's get into this tag. First one, this is Fiddler on the Roof. If I Were a Rich Man. Recommend a book in which someone becomes very wealthy or very poor over the course of the story. For this, I had a little bit of trouble trying to figure out what I would use for this one, because I don't read a lot of rags to riches stories or riches to rags stories, specifically because rags to riches is like as soon as someone's rich, you're like, I guess I'm going to have to take them out in the class war that's coming up. So, I don't like reading about rich people because I don't like them. But this one was really good because that kind of is one of the points of the book. And this is Vasquez by V. Castro. So this is the new Aliens book that came out in October of last year by the absolutely wonderful V. Castro, and it entails the children of Vasquez from the second Alien movie, Aliens. This was a great book. I think the only things that I didn't love about this was I think it got wrapped up rather quickly, and I wish it had another book to continue fleshing things out. But aside from that, I absolutely adored this book. And one of the main things is that one of the siblings gets in with Weyland-Yutani and starts to become wealthy, and, it shows how that changes a person, and the other sibling goes into the military and lives more like a grunt life in the military. And again, it showcases how these siblings who have a similar origin point, from their mother, obviously, and the differences and the complications that come with the way both of them live their lives. And I think it was a really good exploration of that tale, and it's one of those ones that's extremely important and interesting because it comes from a person of color. So it's examining those elements in a way that has a little bit more depth. Next up, Annie, The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow. Recommend a book that takes place after the end of the world. And for me, I had a few books that I could have chosen for this, but I decided to choose my absolute favorite post-apocalypse story, and that is In the Shadow of Extinction by Kelly Warner. Full disclosure, I am friends with Kelly. She's a great person and a great writer. I had not read any of her books until last year, and this is a giant kaiju epic story that has a whole bunch of post-apocalypse stuff happen, and it's near the end of the world, and society is in shambles, and it's just a shell of what it used to be, and it is now dealing with giant monsters. There are a variety of different and very unique monsters and kaiju that are roaming throughout the world. And this one is exciting and interesting because it does have a little bit of a more worldwide view at the apocalypse, whereas a lot of the more conventional, very popular post-apocalypse books are mostly just about America. And my God, America, get over yourself. There's other things going on in the world. But every time a post-apocalypse happens, it's like, hey, what's going on in America? And I'm like, I don't care. Show me somewhere else. God, Americans, get over yourselves. Side note, does anyone know how to get a Goodreads to change an author's name for their Goodreads listing? Because this book is on Goodreads, but it is under Kelly's dead name, and I emailed them about it. So Kelly Warner is a trans woman, and I emailed Goodreads about it and was like, hey, can you change this? Like, here's all the files and proof that, like, this has been released under a different name. Can we change the author and all that? And then Goodreads responded to me, and they were like, no, they would have to log into their old account and change it themselves. And it's like, well, no, I don't want to ask her to go, hey, Kelly, can you go and dead name yourself to log into an old account to update this? I don't understand. So if anyone knows how to get Goodreads to stop being assholes about that and just change it from all the proof that is like the Amazon listings and all the other listings that have it under the new name, I would love to hear that. Or if you could just look up this book on Goodreads and make a personal request to Goodreads. Maybe if you flood them with enough requests, they will do that without me having to go to the author and ask them to dead name themselves. I hate that. It's absolutely awful. But this book is not. This book is really, really good. It's a long one. I read the omnibus, which was actually 3. So it's 3 books that were just crammed into one. So if you're a person who just wants to read part 1 and then you can go to part 2 and part 3, you can do that. They do really flow well together, though, and it was a great experience in July just reading them all straight through. And they have a lot of great monster action to them. So I highly recommend this book. And I think there is some really great character work in this, and there's some deeper depths to this world than just being, hey, there's also monsters. So I really like In the Shadow of Extinction by Kelly Warner. 3. Hamilton. I Want to Be in the Room Where It Happens. Recommend a book in which a character is in a room they shouldn't be at a key moment. I don't want to say any spoilers, so I'm just going to say How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix, the attic sequence. I'm not going to explain any more to that, other than that was an amazing sequence. I have read quite a few books this year, and the only book that has gotten 5 stars from me this year has been How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Absolutely love this book. Absolutely love Grady Hendrix, one of my absolute favorite writers, and I think I kind of forget how much I love Grady Hendrix in between Grady Hendrix books, because then I pick up the next one and I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is also one of my favorite books ever written. So I love Grady Hendrix. I'm a Hendrix stan forever and always. So yeah, highest recommended that book. I'm not going to tell you anymore because I don't want to spoil it for you. 4. Oklahoma, Where the Wind Comes Sweeping Down the Plain. Recommend a book that makes very good use of its setting. At first I was going to say Moby Dick, because frickin' Ishmael can't shut up about whaling. He can't shut up about it. He's so insecure. He's just like, oh, I wish everyone would take me seriously. I'm Ishmael. And I'm like, shut up, Ishmael. I want to know what Queequeg has been doing. I don't give a shit about you and your wanting to be taken seriously. I'm sorry. You're a whaling. You're going to have to deal with the cultural mores of being a whaler. Okay? Just deal with it. But anyways, that is a boring answer because no one wants to hear me rant about Moby Dick. Even though I just did, Ishmael, I don't like you. I like every other character that isn't you. Sorry, Ishmael, who isn't a real person and is a character in a book. Nah, the much better answer for this is Usher's Passing by Robert R. McCammon. This book captures fall so well, and it all kind of takes place in this one location called Usherland, which is just this beautiful, huge mansion of all these like petty rich people who have made all of their money from war profiteering, and they have this huge estate that's built off of the blood of all the people their weapons have killed. And it's just awesome. The way that Robert R. McCammon makes full use of this gigantic estate and the forests that surround this area is just mwah, mwah, chef's kiss. I absolutely loved it. So would 100% recommend that. For me, it's the fall book. Like, I don't know any book for me that's ever captured what it's like to exist during the season of fall better than Russia's Passing. Usher's Passing by Robert R. McCammon. 5. Phantom of the Opera. Turn your face away from the garish light of day. Recommend a book in which a character actively embraces the dark side of their personality. So for this one, I have a really, to me, interesting, maybe you won't think it's interesting, but too bad, it's my list. And that is The Gunslinger by Stephen King. Because I read the entire Dark Tower series last year, and it starts with a very, very dark, depressing, mean-spirited book, and that's because The Gunslinger is introducing you to this post-apocalyptic world, but in a way that makes you really not like Roland Deschain very much, who is the epitomal gunslinger. And he is the main character of the 8 books if you include One Through the Keyhole series. And you meet him after a lot of stuff that we don't know about has happened. So he's jaded, he's miserable, he's mean, he does some very bad things in this book. And it's really impressive because one of the things that I think Stephen King does better than maybe any other writer is utilizing continuity of character super well, because what is so interesting is there are events and there are things that Roland does in The Gunslinger that they do not let you forget about, right? So Stephen King is not a writer who wants you to forget about the terrible things that characters have done in the past, because the best part about Dark Tower is that Roland changes. Roland becomes better. It doesn't excuse his actions of the past, but it acknowledges that people can change and they can improve and they can become better. So there are pivotal moments that are very mean-spirited and nasty that Roland does in that original Gunslinger that play and are important to every subsequent book. And it really, really is impactful because it shows that characters can change. People aren't always the same, no matter how much other books want you to think they are, or society wants you to think that you will always be the same. No, we're constantly changing. It doesn't excuse any actions of our past, but we are moving forward. And I think that it's a really good book to put in for this slot because of that. Number 6, Wicked. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. Recommend a book you love so much it made you feel like you could defy gravity. And for me, because I want to live that goth life, it was In Search of Frankenstein by Radu R. Florescu. And for me, it's just learning all about how Mary Shelley lived and wrote Frankenstein. Because Mary Shelley was the gothiest goth girl of all time. Everyone who is even slightly goth wants to live her life. She's reading poetry to her mother's tombstone, and she's all like dramatic, and it's like, oh, and I'm like, oh my goodness, she's the gothest. She's the most goth lady of all time. And I think all of us goths just want to live that life. We want to like live and write amazing stories and hang out with our cool friends. And yeah, I love learning about the history of Mary Shelley writing Frankenstein because that's the most goth thing I've ever read. Her life is goth, and we all want to be goth. If you don't want to be goth, that's fair, but I do. So there you go. And number 7 is You're the One That I Want, ooh, 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 which is from Grease. When it's name someone you'd like to see do this tag, no tags. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye-bye.